So we've all heard about the new 22% ISA charge and restrictions on how much money you can add into a cash ISA. For a long time, we were left to wonder how the rules are going to be enforced, who does it impact, and how can we avoid getting charged on our ISAs. But the government have finally come out with further details that give us all we need to know, so let's talk about it. Hi there, my name is Ruth and I'm a financial coach who helps people make sense of investing so they can confidently manage their finances to meet their personal goals. Who does this impact today? Before we get into the details of the new ISA charge, it's worth pointing out that nothing is changing right now. Everything I will be talking about in this video isn't set to come into force until at least April 2027, and so there's absolutely no need to panic because no one is getting charged before then. There's even a chance that the changes won't happen at all if the government changes its mind. That said, today we're covering the existing plans, what they mean, and how you can avoid them assuming everything goes ahead as planned. The government's plans. What the government plans to do is to reduce the amount of money being held in cash inside ISAs. To do this, they announced reducing the cash ISA limit down from £20,000 per year to £12,000 per year for people under the age of 65. As with everything else, this isn't happening until April next year, so until then, everyone still has the option to put up to £20,000 into a cash ISA. Limiting the amount people can put into cash ISAs forces us all to consider other types of ISAs to put our money into that are designed for investing. But because there are easy ways to keep cash or cash-like investments inside of a stocks and shares ISA, the government have had to come up with further rules and restrictions to make sure that people don't just treat their investment ISAs like a cash ISA. They're calling these the anti-circumvention rules. Again, the whole point of reducing the cash ISA limit is to try and change behaviour so that people consider investing rather than storing cash. So what the latest information tells us is how the government actually plans to change the rules for investment ISAs from April 2027 onwards. Who does this impact from April next year? Before explaining charges and rules in more detail, we should take a moment to check whether or not it actually applies to you. Firstly, if you only have cash ISAs and have no intention of opening specifically a stocks and shares or innovative finance ISA, then the anti-circumvention rules won't apply to you. Secondly, the reduced cash ISA limit doesn't apply to anyone who is 65 or turning 65 before the end of the next financial year. So if you're turning 65 before or even on the 5th of April 2028, then you can still put up to £20,000 per year into a cash ISA. You will also be able to transfer money out of your investment ISAs and back into cash ISAs, meaning that you will have more freedom to avoid these limitations altogether. That said, the new rules to non-cash ISAs will apply regardless of age, so being 65 doesn't automatically make you exempt from them. The 22% ISA charge. The main rule to be aware of is the 22% charge that is going to be brought in from April next year. This will be a flat charge applied for people using other types of ISAs as if they were a cash ISA. It will only be applied to interest earned on cash held within the ISA, not on the actual amount you have saved up. So, for example, if you had £10,000 earning 4% interest, you would earn £400 over a year. Multiply that 400 or whatever interest you have earned by 22% to find out how much the charge is potentially going to cost you. In this example, you'd be charged £88 out of the 400, leaving you with £312 of interest earned. So you're still going to end up with more, just not as much more as if it was earned from interest within a cash ISA. All that being said, there is actually a simple solution to ensure you don't get charged at all. How to easily avoid the ISA charge. To avoid the ISA charge, you will have to stop keeping uninvested cash inside of your investment ISAs. If you currently have cash sitting inside of a stocks or innovative finance ISA, you currently have two choices. One, choose to invest the cash inside of your investment ISA, or two, transfer your money back into a cash ISA. While both of those options are available to everyone right now, from April 2027, you will only be able to transfer from an investment ISA back into a cash ISA from the financial year that you turn 65 and onwards. And anyone under that age will need to decide and take action before these rules come into place next year. To anyone listening who's unsure on what to do next, my website explains what I could potentially do to help you and is linked in the description box below. Can I still use investment ISAs for cash-like investments? So far, we've spoken about uninvested cash held inside a stocks and shares or innovative finance ISA. For the purposes of their anti-circumvention rules, the government has also defined cash-like investments to be specifically money market funds. These are investments, but they are considered much safer than alternatives like investing into companies. And to avoid people treating their investment ISA like a cash ISA through the specific use of money market funds, the government has said that some of the money will still need to be invested elsewhere. In other words, so long as you don't have 100% invested into money market funds, then you won't be charged or penalised in any other way. A simple way of satisfying this criteria would be to invest the minimum value that your platform allows into a global equity fund. My thoughts on these changes. I'm not a fan of these changes, and while I do think that in general more people should learn to invest, my biggest concern is specifically on the 22% ISA charge because I see it as a slippery slope. Even though the government is calling it a charge, I think it sets a precedent for ISAs to be taxed when the whole point of an ISA is for it to be tax-free. The possibility that people are going to get caught out is quite high, and these anti-prevention rules are adding even more barriers for people to start using investment ISAs when the whole point is meant to be encouraging people to do this. And for that, I think limiting the cash ISA allowance would have been sufficient. The sentiment around these changes are obviously negative on the whole, and I think it'll put some people off using ISAs altogether, unfortunately. I also think it'll have a massive impact on how we all think about de-risking our portfolios in the future under these new rules, because it won't be as easy to sell down your stocks to protect your money when you get to a stage where you actually want to start spending it. You will need to be more intentional around timings. You will have to learn more about cash-like assets and investments, or you will potentially have to consider removing money prematurely from the ISA wrapper altogether if you can no longer deal with investment risk. It adds a fairly steep learning curve to the entire process, which I don't think most people are ready for. All that being said, hopefully you found this video helpful in some way and got some peace of mind from the solutions that I shared to keep your money protected. Thanks again for watching. If you feel like you may need help with your investment choices or money management, then please do check out my website. Let me know what you think of these new ISA rules in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.